Have you ever felt the ground shift beneath your feet after a simple question? It arrives not with a shout, but with a whisper. A seemingly innocent inquiry, wrapped in a tone of concern or a smile of camaraderie. Yet, the moment the words leave their lips, a primal instinct flares within you, a silent alarm that something is deeply wrong. You answer, and in doing so, you unknowingly step into a labyrinth where the walls are designed to close in on you. This is the advanced art of the manipulator. They understand that the most devastating lies are not statements, but questions. Questions that bypass your logical defenses and target the very foundation of your perception. If you cannot decode their true meaning, you will find yourself lost in a hall of mirrors, apologizing for distortions you didn't create, until you are fighting a shadow war against yourself. The ancient Stoics, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, were students of human nature. They observed that the most effective attacks are not frontal assaults, but psychological sieges. A skilled manipulator rarely confronts you directly. Instead, they plant a seed of doubt in the fertile soil of your mind and patiently wait for you to water it with your own anxiety until it grows into a forest of confusion. 2,000 years later, this warfare has only evolved, becoming more sophisticated and subtle. Today, we will dissect 10 of the most dangerous questions liars and manipulators use to control the narrative. More importantly, I will provide you with the Stoic shield and sword, the calm, principled responses that reclaim your reality. By the end, you will no longer be a participant in their game, you will be its master. Question 1. Why are you always so dramatic? This question is a masterful act of reframing. It takes your legitimate emotional response to a situation and pathologizes it. The word always generalizes a single moment into a character flaw, while dramatic dismisses the validity of your feelings. The goal is to make you feel irrational and unstable for having a normal reaction to abnormal behavior. The Stoic response: the Stoic seeks to separate fact from impression. They would not defend against the exaggeration. Instead, they would calmly correct the frame. I am having a strong reaction to a specific situation. Let's discuss the situation itself. This redirects the conversation from your character back to the actionable issue, denying them the opportunity to label you. Question 2. Does anyone else see it that way, or is it just you? This is a weaponized form of isolation. It's designed to make you feel alone and out of step with reality. By implying that your perception is singular and therefore invalid, the manipulator seeks to undermine your confidence in your own judgment. It's a call to conform to a supposed majority opinion. The Stoic response: Epictetus taught that we cannot control the opinions of others, only our own judgments. The truth is not a democracy. The validity of an observation isn't determined by a vote. Let's examine the facts on their own merit. This asserts that your perception has inherent value and that truth is the goal, not social consensus. Question 3. I was just joking. Can't you take a joke? This is a classic tactic to avoid accountability for a hurtful or probing comment. By hiding behind the veil of humor, the manipulator gets to deliver a blow and then shift the blame to you for being humorless or overly sensitive. It invalidates your pain and makes you the buzzkill. The Stoic response: a Stoic values intent and effect. A joke at someone else's expense is not humor, it's aggression in disguise. A joke is meant to be funny for everyone. Please explain the humor so I can understand. This forces them to confront the hostile intent behind their words, exposing the joke for what it is. Question 4. Why are you bringing up the past? This question is deployed when you reference a pattern of behavior to explain your current caution. The manipulator wants each incident to be treated as an isolated event, because patterns prove intent. By accusing you of living in the past, they try to sever the connective tissue that reveals their true character. The Stoic response: Marcus Aurelius wrote about learning from the past to navigate the present. The past is a data set. I'm not bringing up the past to dwell on it. I'm using it to understand the present pattern. Trust is built on consistent behavior over time. This reframes your action as prudent and logical, not vindictive. Question 5. are you sure you're remembering that correctly? This is the essence of gaslighting. It's a direct, subtle attack on your most fundamental faculty, your memory. By sowing this seed of doubt, the manipulator doesn't have to prove you wrong, they simply have to make you question your own mind. If they can control your past, they control your present. The Stoic response: the Stoic strives for objective truth. When your memory is challenged, anchor yourself in facts. My memory is clear on this. If you have a different recollection, please be specific about what you believe happened. This moves the conversation from a vague insinuation to a specific point of contention that can be addressed. Question 6. Do you really think I'm capable of that? This is a question designed to appeal to your empathy while simultaneously guilting you. It's a performance of wounded virtue. The manipulator acts horrified that you could attribute such a negative action to them, making you feel like a monster for even considering it. This often causes you to backtrack to soothe their ego. The Stoic response: Seneca warned against being swayed by theatrical displays. Focus on actions, not protestations. This isn't about your capability, it's about explaining the evidence before me. Can you provide an explanation that aligns with what I've observed? This bypasses the emotional performance and returns to the evidence. Question 7. You're not going to make a big deal out of this, are you? This is a preemptive strike to lower the consequences for their actions. It frames your rightful response as an overreaction before you've even had a chance to respond. It's a way to set a ceiling on your emotions and demand you minimize your feelings to accommodate their transgression. The Stoic response: a Stoic determines what is a big deal based on their own values, not someone else's convenience. The significance of an action is determined by its impact, not by the comfort of the person who committed it. I will respond appropriately. This calmly asserts your right to determine the weight of the situation and your response to it. Question 8. Why can't you just let it go? Similar to, can't we move on, this question pathologizes your need for resolution. It paints you as stubborn, grudge-holding, and emotionally stunted for not simply swallowing your hurt or ignoring the injustice. It's a tactic of exhaustion, hoping to wear you down into silence. The Stoic response: letting go is a healthy choice, but it must be genuine. Forced letting go is simply suppression. I will let it go when I have found closure, not before. Closure requires understanding and resolution. This distinguishes between healthy release and coerced silence, affirming your need for a true conclusion. Question 9. I'm sorry you feel that way. This phrase is perhaps the most insidious of the linguistic counterfeits you will encounter. It wears the clothing of an apology but carries the heart of an accusation. To understand why, we must dissect its anatomy. A genuine apology has a specific structure. It acknowledges a specific action and accepts responsibility for its impact. For example, I'm sorry I spoke harshly, it was unfair and it hurt you. This formula validates the other person's experience and seeks to repair a breach. I'm sorry you feel that way performs a subtle but devastating sleight of hand. It shifts the object of the apology from the speaker's action to the listener's feeling. The hidden message is, the problem is not what I did, the problem is your emotional reaction to it. This is not conciliation, it is a blame-shifting maneuver that pathologizes your legitimate response. It implies that a reasonable person would not feel hurt, offended, or slighted, thereby making you the source of the conflict for having the feeling in the first place. The Stoic response: reclaiming the frame with precision. The Stoic, as a student of logic, understands that sloppy language reflects sloppy thinking. They are not fooled by the grammatical disguise. The goal of the response is not to accept the non-apology, but to politely dismantle it and guide the conversation back to the realm of accountable action. The proposed response: I appreciate the sentiment, but an apology for my feelings doesn't address the action that caused them. Can we discuss the action itself? Is a masterclass in maintaining boundaries. Let's break down its power. I appreciate the sentiment. This is a gracious opening that avoids immediate defensiveness. It acknowledges the attempt at communication without validating its content. But an apology for my feelings doesn't address the action that caused them. This is the core of the Stoic reply. It clearly and calmly identifies the logical flaw in the non-apology. It separates the effect, your feelings, from the cause, their action, and insists on addressing the root. Can we discuss the action itself? This is a forward-looking, solution-oriented pivot. It takes control of the conversation's direction, steering it away from the murky waters of your emotional state and back to the solid ground of observable behavior. This response demonstrates that you cannot be manipulated through linguistic trickery. You have called the bluff, not with emotion, but with superior clarity. Question 10. After everything I've done for you, how can you say that? This is emotional blackmail in its purest form. It weaponizes past kindness to demand present silence. The manipulator here is not appealing to your reason but to a sense of manufactured debt. They construct a ledger where their past positive actions are presented as deposits that now grant them a withdrawal slip for current misconduct. The question is designed to trigger a cascade of guilt and self-doubt. It forces you into a false dilemma: either you swallow your legitimate grievance and prove yourself grateful, or you voice your concern and risk being branded an ungrateful monster. This tactic effectively holds your own integrity hostage, using their past virtues as the ransom. The Stoic response: separating the ledgers of time. A core Stoic principle is to judge each action and event on its own merits. The past is a source of learning, not a chain of obligation. The Stoic recognizes that goodness is not a currency that can be stored and spent to offset later wrongs. A kind act yesterday does not license a cruel word today. The response: I am grateful for the positive things in our past. However, past kindness does not make present hurt acceptable. They are separate issues. Is a powerful act of emotional and logical accounting. I am grateful for the positive things in our past. This gracefully honors the truth of the past. It prevents the manipulator from accusing you of being dismissive and shows that you are fair-minded. However, past kindness does not make present hurt acceptable. This is the unequivocal statement of boundary. It declares that moral accounting does not work this way. It asserts that a wrong action remains wrong, regardless of what preceded it. They are separate issues. This is the final, crucial separation. It refuses to allow the two issues to be tangled together. It insists that the current problem must be resolved on its own terms. This approach allows you to hold two truths simultaneously: gratitude for the past and a firm boundary in the present. It proves that your commitment to truth is stronger than your aversion to being seen as ungrateful. The Stoic arsenal: the sacred pause and the sovereignty of judgment. The common thread weaving through all 10 questions is their target: your emotional, reactive mind. The manipulator is a psychological arsonist. Their words are not meant to communicate but to ignite a fire of confusion, guilt, or anger within you. Once you are emotionally flustered, your judgment is compromised, and they can seize control of the narrative. Stoicism is the ultimate fireproofing. Your greatest defense is not a clever comeback, but the disciplined application of reason, anchored in the foundational dichotomy of control from Epictetus: some things are in our control, others are not. Not in your control: their words, their tone, their intentions, their attempts to provoke you. In your control: your pause, your analysis, your breath, your chosen response, your judgment of the event. The most powerful weapon in your arsenal is the sacred pause. Between the stimulus, their loaded question, and your response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom and your power. Before you answer, take a breath. In that momentary silence, ask yourself the Stoic questions. What is the true intention behind this question? What part of this situation is truly within my control? What response would align with my virtue and my truth? This pause is where you transition from being a reactor to being an actor. You choose a response that serves your integrity, not their game. Conclusion: the unshakable sovereignty of clarity. You now possess more than a list of responses, you hold a map to the manipulator's labyrinth. You are no longer a disoriented visitor reacting to every strange echo, you are the surveyor who understands the blueprint of the traps. You can now navigate with confidence. The Stoic warrior does not win by shouting louder or by becoming more manipulative. They win by steadfastly refusing to play the game on anyone's terms but truth's. They stand firm in their own reasoned reality. Their calmness is not passivity, it is a profound form of power. Their clarity is a light so bright it dissolves the shadows where deception breeds. Remember this, you are not paranoid for recognizing patterns. You are not difficult for demanding respect. You are not weak for requiring honesty. You are practicing awareness. And in a world that often prefers the comfort of illusion, conscious awareness is the ultimate form of sovereignty. Walk forward with clarity. Act with reason. Remain, as the Stoics intended, unshakable. If this guide has fortified your mind, please like, subscribe to the Stoic Path, and share it with anyone who needs to sharpen their discernment. And in the comments below, make your declaration by writing these 3 words. I see clearly.